Divine madness.
It was also Plato who articulated an early rationalization for pedophilia by linking it to his concept of divine madness. In ancient Greece, pederasty was a romantic relationship socially acknowledged in ancient Greece between an eristos older male and an eromenos teenage male. According to Plato, there are two kinds of madness, one caused by human illnesses, the other by a divine release from the norms of conventional behavior. 56. This second form of madness is associated with what is believed to be ecstatic or trance states associated with mysticism. Or more accurately, demonic possession, as was the case with the Maenads. According to Plato's Symposium, through the mouth of Diotima, it is by means of spirits that all divination can take place, the whole craft of seers and priests, with their sacrifices, rites and spells, and all prophecy and magic. 57. As Plato explained, if madness were simply an evil, it would be right, but in fact some of our greatest blessings come from madness, when it is granted to us as a divine gift. 58. As examples, Plato lists the oracles of Delphi and Dodona. Plato also mentions the Sibyl and other prophetesses, who, when possessed by a god, use prophecy to predict the future and have on numerous occasions pointed a lot of people in the right direction. 59. Plato listed 4 types of divine madness, each with its own deity: prophetic inspiration from Apollo, mystical inspiration from Dionysus, poetic inspiration from the Muses, and finally from Aphrodite and Eros, the god responsible for beautiful boys. 60. Erotic mania is one of the main topics of the Phaedrus. Socrates first agrees with his young friend Phaedrus reading the speech composed by the orator Lysias, who claimed that true lovers were mad and were a detriment to society.
However, later in the work, Socrates is given a sign by his daemonian, and heard a voice demanding that he repent.
Describing himself as a mantis seer, Socrates says that he immediately understood his error and offers a retraction. 61. Here, Plato employs the analogy of the horse-drawn chariot to describe the competing inclinations of the soul, the one recoiling from the scandalous perversion of sex with a male child and the other one aroused and indulgent. The horses are tamed and the soul aspires the higher philosophical truths through contemplation of the beauty of the boy, who is adored as a god. According to Plato, when a man by the right method of boy-loving ascends from these particulars and begins to descry that beauty, he is almost able to lay hold of the final secret. From personal beauty he proceeds to beautiful observances, from observance to beautiful learning, and from learning at last to that particular study which is concerned with the beautiful itself and that alone, so that at the end he comes to know the very essence of beauty. In that state of life among all others, a man finds it truly worthwhile to live, as he contemplates essential beauty. 62. Thus, the most fundamental experience of beauty, according to Plato, as explained by Yulia Ustinova, in Divine Mania Alteration of Consciousness in Ancient Greece, is the pleasure a man takes in seeing a handsome youth.
And from this we can infer that aesthetic education in the Republic is still focused on the beauty of the male body. 63. The Republic provided the basis for modern fascist projects, including the elimination of marriage and the family, compulsory education, the use of eugenics by the state.
and the employment of deceptive propaganda methods. According to Plato, all these women shall be wives in common to all the men, and not one of them shall live privately with any man. The children too should be held in common so that no parent shall know which is his own offspring.
And no child shall know his parent. 64. This belief is associated with a need for eugenics, as, the best men must cohabit with the best women in as many cases as possible and the worst with the worst in the fewest, and that the offspring of the one must be reared and that of the other not.
If the flock is to be as perfect as possible, more pernicious still is his prescription for infanticide, the offspring of the inferior, and any of those of the other sort who are born defective, they will properly dispose of in secret, so that no one will know what has become of them. That is the condition of preserving the purity of the guardian's breed.
Compulsory schooling is to be implemented in order to separate children from their parents, to have them indoctrinated in the ideals of the state.
They, philosopher kings, will begin by sending out into the country all the inhabitants of the city who are more than 10 years old, and will take possession of their children, who will be unaffected by the habits of their parents. These they will train in their own habits and laws.
I mean in the laws which we have given them. And in this way the state and constitution of which we were speaking will soonest and most easily attain happiness, and the nation which has such a constitution will gain most. 65.
Plato also articulated the concept of that noble lie. As for propaganda, according to Plato, our rulers will find a considerable dose of falsehood and deceit necessary for the good of their subjects. He further explains, rhetoric is a producer of persuasion for belief, not for instruction in the matter of right and wrong. And so the rhetorician's business is not to instruct a law court or a public meeting in matters of right and wrong, but only to make them believe, since, I take it, he could not in a short while instruct such a mass of people in matters so important. 66. In the parable of the cave of the Republic, Plato makes use of the image of a cave, in which shadows of objects are cast by a fire onto a wall. Men enchained in the cave cannot turn their heads to see the fire or the objects, and know only their projected images. The allegory is designed to explain the prison of illusion within which humans are generally trapped. If fortunate to be released from his shackles, that is, initiated, the philosopher may recognize that what he had thought was real were mere shadows of props projected by a false light. He may then begin the ascent upward to the entrance of the cave, to gaze at the true light, or true knowledge, symbolized by the sun, as the Mithraists, who seek union with Mithras, the sun.